Well, hello and welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm Sheena, and this is the first of quite a few videos like this coming your way. And I'm a bit excited because we've got a brand new launch. I've got the launch to show you, just to let you see what it's all about. I've got samples to take you through, and then we've got a lot of playing. So you're going to want to be comfortable, I'm just saying. You need, I would say, a hot drink of some kind and a comfy chair because we've got quite a bit to get through. And let me show you what we're looking at. We have got, now that looks interesting. That's already got my attention. But when I do that, how fabulous is he? He is absolutely gorgeous, the green man. So we might, we've seen these, you find them in carvings, you find them, in sculptures, and it's all about nature, renewal, protection of nature, regeneration, that knowing that one season's going to follow the next. It's all a good, positive thing. He's a good guy. He's a good one, is the green man. But what we've got in the mould, you haven't just got the guy here, you've also got leaves here as well. So to be honest, not only is he great to use, which you're going to see in a minute, but if you want to just have some fabulous leafy even just to accent your 2D work, might be painters, might be whatever. These are absolutely stunning leaves. Let me show you what they look like. That there is what they look like when they've been moulded, and that is resin with the bronze gilding on it. And how cool is that? So look at the detail in it. It's incredible, the detail in the eyes and the just the whole everything, the whole layer of the leaves. So what these guys are for is this is just to extend further. When you see the samples, you can extend this even further. You could use these to build a corner, then have him in the corner. Absolutely fabulous. Let me show you the one. So that's the first one. That's the green man there. But forest leaf green man, that was. This is the other one. This one is the twig alphabet. And I love this because it's super rustic, super cute. Loads of occasions you could use that. That's what the mould looks like. Now, I'll talk about how to use this as we go through. We're going to actually do some moulding. We're going to do demoulding. But just saying, you've got the whole alphabet represented. You've got little accent florals and things also represented, which look really pretty, just stuck on the letters or around them. And so what you would do, this is what they look like when they're moulded. You literally are just going to obviously mould the letters you want. I have some ready that we're going to use as well on a project. But that's what they look like with, again, just a little bit of gilding on them. Love them. Absolutely fab. Really cool. So it goes across a lot of occasions, that one. Then the third brand new mould here is the continuous tree bark. This is absolutely, I think that just looks so authentic. It looks really true to what it is. Now that's what the mould looks like. It's big, much bigger than it looks like on the packaging. Now the idea with that is you can do the whole thing. You can model the whole thing like you're going to see it on here. But you can also just use parts of it, just aspects of it. You don't have to use the clay, whatever you're using, whatever modelling material you're using, across the whole thing. We are going to be using paper clay today. And you can see how cool it's going to look. It's going to look amazing. But that is the final brand new moulds there coming your way. So look at, I know you're loving the moulds. My design team are absolutely just having the best time with these because this is the kind of thing they're going to be making. Look at that. How fabulous is that? This is a gorgeous little box that Lisa's made here. And you know what? Just forage, look. Not like Green Madge foraging through the forest, forage through your house. Find little throwaway boxes. You might have had some from Christmas, birthdays, whatever. Get them out of the bin. Get them out of the recycling and use them because look at how absolutely transformed that is. That's a gorgeous little keepsake box. And what I love is I love the colour scheme. I mean, I would not have thought of doing his eyebrows purple. I've got to say, Lisa. It's inspired, and his little lips have got that tint because he's of the forest. You can do that because he kind of blends in with his florally background she's got going on. She's used the little flowers there from the alphabet to just accent the leaves that came with the Green Man. And a little bit of the mica, if you're wondering what that is, that's the mica powders there to give that gold bling to it. Now, if you're thinking, right, yeah, all right then, Douglas, but I'm not that confident on me colouring yet. Fear not, because like when you see in the little demoulding videos where I've just used a dark clay and then use your powders over the top. Use your Cosmic Shimmer iridescent mica pigment, a little bit of water, and then dry brush over that with a flat brush. And look how cool that looks. Look at the little charms that have been made with the leaves here as well. So yeah, little, if you make your own books, whatever, I think they look absolutely stunning. Love this one as well. Check out this tree. Is that, it's Lisa's box as well. Fabulous. Again, it's probably in another gift box that she's upcycled. Oh, cool. Yeah, little trinket box. And use the bark in the background. Now, that was the other thing I wanted to mention. You don't have to use that whole thing together. You can make it, and then you can literally slice it up and use parts of it. It doesn't have to be in the full slab. But again, that gorgeous colour in there. Wonderful. Let me show you something else. Yeah, bringing it in. I think this also Lisa's. I've got some more to the right here. Great for cards as well. Love this. So depending on how you paint it, a completely different look. But look at the detail in these leaves. That is just ridiculous. So just a little, mini chopping board, and then absolutely transformed into really cool hanger. So gifting them, perfect. If you want to sell them, fantastic too. Let me bring, oh yeah, look at this. Check that one out. This is Tracy's. Now this, I thought I love it. She's used the bark all the way around the side of this tub. And you know what? It's the most cheapest chips, inexpensive. It's like a yogurt tub or something. It's actually plastic. So, but how not plastic tub like is that? And she's use a little word in there for a bird seed. A little bit of this fake moss. Looks really cool. Love it. Right, then we've got cards, so it doesn't always have to be 3D either. We can go down the card route. Pamela's absolutely stunning colour in here of this Green Man. Love him. Absolutely gorgeous. Again, just part of the bark in the background and then the wording. We've got, there'll be more. There's more samples coming up as well. There'll be more, as we go along, we'll be bringing more to you. This one here with the spring, summer, using the little florals from the alphabet there, autumn, and then winter. So Jackie's taking us through the whole of the year with these as well in card form. Hopefully that's given you a little bit of a taster of what you can do with them. But I think it's time to start playing. So, first thing to do, we're going to talk about the clay. Right, so let me take you through what I've got ready for. Before we even start putting clay into moulds, I wanted to just talk to you about the colouring of clay. So what I've got here, I've got different clays here, different colours, all not white, but can you see I've all got them all in plastic bags that I've tried to get the air out as much as possible. The clay that we're using is the hearty clay, and the base clay, the one I'm using the bulk of, is the white here. Now, you can colour your clay, you can use different materials, different paints to colour your clay. What you don't want to do is you don't want to change the kind of the structure of your clay too much. So something that's going to take lots and lots of paint to change the colour is not the best option. You want something that's quite intense to change the colour. I've found the best thing to change the colour of your white clay to tint it is coloured clay. Because these things are so pigmented. Let me show you what I mean. So if you look at these colours here, that there, gorgeous kind of like almost going towards a skin tone, off-white, kind of, almost porcelain-y colour. A little bit of a darker tone here, but very neutral. And also so usable for the face of this Green Man. And then another variation. So, but all of them much warmer than the stark white to start with. So by warming it up, by using the warm base, it's not just for faces, it's to give something a little bit more of a porcelain look maybe, or, you know, just a warmer glow. You know, for painting, often artists will underpaint. They'll put a colour underneath it and other colours. That kind of, whether you see it or not, or you think it's there or not, it kind of glows through and it warm up a painting. So what I'm doing is I'm just softening this to start with, because you never use it straight out the packet. You can see already, this is already starting to look smoother. It's kind of like when you're making dough. I'm back onto my sourdough obsession. Don't even get me started. You'll be here for about another 3 hours. But that's the kind of thing, is when you knead it, you change the feel of it. It looks smoother, it's silkier, it's more pliable. It's a little bit more fibrous when you take it straight out the packet. So make sure you give it a little bit of a smoosh. And to be honest, I find that quite therapeutic. But let me show you how these three here, if I tell you, I made these colours using brown, you might think, yeah, okay, I get that. Brown there, I can see that. But not just brown, but also red and possibly orange. And I'll show you how I mix them to start with. So first bit, that's the first thing we're going to take off the list. Mixing clay, different colours. So say you're using a big splodge of clay like that much there, of your white hearty clay. And I want to tint this. I know for sure I'm going to use brown, because brown's going to be like the main colour to change this, to influence it. But look at how little I'm picking out here. I mean, the tiniest, and probably I'll put that back. What I would say is like mixing colours in paint. Use less and then add more if you need it. That's probably too much to that. If you think of the planets, I don't know which one they are, but I know you've got a massive one and you've got a little baby one, right? Or if you're talking like fruit, think of your clementine or something there, and think of, well, that's a bit of a big pea. See about that pea there, about a pea size. Start with a pea size of your brown. Probably going to mix in as well a close to maybe a half a pea of red. So half a pea of red, yeah. Possibly also we'll try half a pea of the orange. These are the colours that you're going to be experimenting with. And you're going to get various different tones like I've done. But you know what? Once you've mixed them, they're okay. They just stay there. They're not harming anybody. All you've got to do is make sure that these are all sealed up, pop back, keep them in this foil if possible, because that's the best stuff to stop the air getting at them. And also into a Ziploc bag. Even after that, into an airtight container. Just basically, air is the enemy of so many colouring products, craft products. Anything that's acrylic based, you don't want air anywhere near it, because you can't re-wet it. Once it gets dry, it's dry. So let's start colouring this guy here. I'm going to start with that much there, all right? And I'm going to just squodge that like that and just spread it out like this. I have to say, I really like this bit. It's so therapeutic. The other thing that we're doing when we're mixing this colour as well, we are removing a little bit of the moisture as we're going. As well as smoothing out the clay, as well as mixing it up, the air's getting to it a little bit, and that helps when we come to model this green man, because he's a very detailed mould, and any very detailed moulds benefit from having the clay a little bit on the drier side. The more you use this, the more you'll get the feel of it, and you go, ah, yeah, I get it. All right, I'm getting the feel of it more. It's like, you know, you can talk about learn to drive till the cows come home, but you got to get behind the wheel, haven't you? And then you're like, ah, right, yes, now I understand. So that's exactly what happens with this. You get the feel of it, and you know when you're good to go. Look at that. That tiny little bit of brown has put all that colour in it. Now, it's good, it'll work, but it could be better. I think for like, if you're going for like skin tone, we want a little bit of a warmer tint in that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put half of that orange in it. That'll warm it up a bit, but it might make it a bit yellowy. So I'm going to put a bit of the pink in it as well. So half of that pea of the pink. You see, even I put that out there, I'm not even committing to putting it all in, because it might be too dark. And if it's too much or too dark, fear not. You just add it to a little bit more white later. You can keep that as your, maybe it could be a skin tone base clay. That could be the one that you, it's like, you know, when you have like a, something that's condensed, you know, and you add to it to dilute it. That could be what you're using that colour for if you go a little bit on the darker side. So nothing is a tragedy if you did get a little bit more heavy-handed with it. You can work with it, but look at how much better. I think that's just got a much better. What I keep doing is looking at it against like the cooler part of my hand or skin tone, you know, work it on that. And of course, skin tones vary massively from, you know, me, don't get out much, kind of glowing. But, and, you know, as dark as you want to go with it. But what I would say is you're better off starting not too dark, because if you want to put water-based colouring products on, which we're going to use the inks, they are transparent and they won't cover a dark base. They'll cover a base that's tinted slightly, but not if it's got too much pigment in it. It's already dark. You won't see the colours on it. So now what we've got is a really nice, workable, good kind of skin tone to work with. All right, and these little guys here, I'm not going to waste them. I'm just going to put them back. I'll even put them in that packet there, just next to me brown. That's what I tend to do. Even it, rather than waste it, just pop it somewhere and we can separate that later. The more you use it, the more you have your own little ways of working and tips and tricks and things like that. So I'm going to close that like that, get the air out of it as best I can. Pop it to one side, we're done with that. Like one side's, if you heard the clunk, it is the floor. All right, back up. So can you see all these different tones? But they're all usable, and I've mixed them all the same way. And that one's a little bit wetter than the ones I've done previously, but I think we still should be okay to model with the Green Man. If you're not sure, if it still feels a little bit wet, just flatten it out a little bit. Go make yourself a cup of tea like I have. I'm just going to have a sip. Thank you very much. Well, I did say get a drink at the start of it. Did I not? All right, so yeah, leave it flat a little bit. By the time you've made a cup of tea, got yourself sorted, bit of cake, it's the law. All right, biscuit at least, come back, and then it'll have dried out a little bit and it'll be a little bit easier to use. These ones are a little bit firmer because I made them earlier and the air got to them slightly more. Let's see what this one feels like. But we are going to use one of these because we're going to model, we're going to use this for the Green Man. Yeah, that one's a little bit stiffer, so I'm going to put that back in there. And even if I leave that maybe a day or so, even though I think I've got most of the air out, because it's not brand new, it'll probably still be a little bit drier when I come to use it than if it's fresh out the packet. But that's how we colour the clay. That's how we tint the clay in a really cool, close to skin tone fashion. Yeah, and the coloured clays are really fabulous for that. So let's bring the mould in. Here he is. It's a smiley little chappy, isn't he? No harm in him. So before we're going to start to mould him, I'm going to make this nice and smooth there. It's important when you do this that you've got a nice smooth area. If it's a face or anything like that, get it as smooth as possible before you go and start squidging in. But that's the bit we're going to do in a minute. Before we get there, I'm going to use my vegetable shortening, so something like Trex or Crisco. But can you see how little I've put on my hand there? I put a tiny little amount, and it looks like all I'm doing, I put a bit of hand cream on or something. It's got a bit shiny hands. It's not white gloops on my fingers. It's barely there. And all I'm going to do is just go in to these little bits, the nooks and crannies. The trickiest bit in this, and it's not tricky, but the bit to be aware of and press into is his nose and his eyes, because this is where all the detail is. Now, if I don't press down properly heavily into this mould, the detail's not going to come out. So that's the mission. We've put that on here. We've done a little bit of that time. That's all you need for that whole area, is just whatever was on my fingers there. You're not like, it's not like greasing something, you're baking a cake or something like that. It's literally just the lightest amount. Now, I've got my clay. It's nice and smooth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start like that, and I'm going to squidge down really heavily, and I'm pressing right into his face. I want all of that there squidged in, yeah? And I'm not worried about all this extra here. There's obviously too much. So I can just take that away now, and I'm going to start at one side now that I've got that area in the centre, made sure I've pressed down in there. Now I'm going to go around the sides like this, and I'm pushing the clay back. Or what you can do is have a glass or something, and if you've got a little silicone kind of base, so for example you've got a glass, you've got some kind of like a rubbery base is a good thing, and you can put your little lid over the top of it like that. Even that would do. All it's doing is just preventing the air getting to it a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press at the top and even out around the sides of this guy here. I don't want it domed above the mould because I'm wasting clay that way. Now I always tend to work at one side, then I'll turn it around. It's easier turning what you're working around than you around. And then keep going and go to until you get to the very edge. And then I'm just going to keep squidging, keep pressing, and then just take away the excess. Once you get onto that ridge, use the ridge to press against it to take away the excess clay. Now, that's pretty okay, that, because what I'm looking for now, I don't want this to be, like I say, domed, because I'll have used too much clay then. When you get more confident, if you want to go thinner with your mould, you can go a little bit, down from the edge. Can you see there's a slight recess here? I haven't got it right up to the top. I don't need it to there. I'm okay, because I've done this a few times now, and I know that I'm okay with being that short of a little bit down from the very end. But I do want to make sure that the centre's all sorted there. There's my little bit waiting for it on my lid. Look, I'll pop it on there. Now, the other thing you can do is you can turn it over and just give it a little press if you want to try and flatten the back a little bit. Now, that's important later when you come to stick it to something. Right, next one. Pull away from the side slightly. Just pull back like this, just so that you can see that little line appear around the outside, as if you've taken a little pen and you've drawn an outline on it. Now you know that it's free from the edge. We're not going to stick there when you come to demoulding this guy. And Katie Sue moulds are fabulous because they've got this extra, you know what, I know more about moulds now. I know a lot about stamps, but I'm now getting really good with moulds, and I know that the quality and the why and how they are so good and why they're so popular. They've done these things for quite a while now, and Cosmic Shimmer now having these moulds has benefited from all the experience, the knowledge, things like this where you don't have to touch your moulded element at all to get this moving, just enough to break the vacuum, and then to get this guy to just you virtually drop out of the mould. Don't have to pull it and tease it out and do anything, drastic to get him out of there. You just, squidge his nose, tiny little bit there. It's fine. Just put that little bit down there when I took it out. But that there now is perfect. Can you see? He's got his eyes are all formed. He's got all these little I'd like to call them laughter lines. I relate. Him and me, we've laughed a lot. And that is now perfect. So now what's going to happen with him is he's going to be put onto a piece of kitchen paper or cardboard, copy paper, anything that's kind of porous, and then you're going to lay him there and you're going to let him dry. Now, he's going to take a good 24 hours to dry because he's quite thick in parts. So only after he's dried for maybe, quite a few hours, turn him over, let him dry for, 5-6 hours or whatever. And if he feels firm enough on the top, turn him over and let the back dry as well. And that'll be Super cool. Right, now I want to show you something quickly with the leaves though. We're not totally done. Let me show you this I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to take a little bit of this, the clay, and just roll it up a little bit. And then we're going to pop this and I'm going to show you what this leaf looks like when it comes out. It looks really rather gorgeous. But you can play with it and make it look even more stunning. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing exactly what I've just done with him, and I've made it a bit thinner deliberately. It's quite low, this one. It is quite thin. I'm hoping I've made it too thin. That would just be, you know, wait till there's lots of people looking, Sheena, and then, you know, experiment with that, with how thin you can go. No. Wow. But we'll see. Well, it's really thin, right? All I'm saying is it's very thin. I've given myself a little... The thinner it is, just know the more delicate it is to come out of the mould. But you know what? I just like building up the tension. Because look. Ha. Perfect. He is absolutely gorgeous. I say he. Because, yeah, it might be Trevor, the leaf. He's fabulous. And as he comes out, and I like the thinner. When you use it more, when you do more, you'll get more confident using less clay, making them thinner. Because the other thing that happens, if they're a little bit thinner, they look a little bit more authentic, a bit more leafy, a bit more leaf-like. However, if you want to play with them, you can. This little tool here is just part of a basic cake decorating kit, right? You can get them cheap as chips now, really inexpensive. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this little bit here. And can you see where there's a vein out here? There's a vein there, vein there, vein there, there, and there. Right, I'm using this clever mould to just work with it. I'm not trying to, you know, change it from a, you know, this gorgeous leaf to a, you know, an oak leaf. Stay with it. So all I'm doing is I'm pressing just a little bit, following the veins that are already on there with the tool, just following the shape of the leaf. So what's happening is, if you want to vary your leaves, if you want to have them, each one looking a little bit different, also what this does is it increases the size of them. If you do this, everyone's going to be different, every single one, and you can move them around a little bit. You can articulate them. You know, even if you tear one, even if you put a little cut in one and it's got a little owie or a little nick or whatever, it doesn't matter, because that's how they are when they're growing. They don't, you know, they don't look perfect all the time on the, you know, or on the tree, or if they're fallen. But look at how much bigger that is. Let me find you an original leaf. Right, that's the original, and that's your adapted one. So both gorgeous, but both options. Let me show you another one here. This one here was the original there, yeah? And this is what it looked like, just doing that same thing. So all I did was follow the veins as they were in the mould. I'm not trying to reinvent what's there. I'm not starting from scratch. I'm using what we've got and just tweaking it a tiny little bit. Then that's the small one. That's the tiny one there. And then that's the tiny one squidge. But look, little tear on it. Not bothered. I don't care. Because it just makes it look more authentic, like, you know, like leaves do. So that little guy there, I'm not just going to lie him flat. I'm going to lift him up a little bit. And I might curl him up a little bit, tweak him, put something underneath him. It might be something like, we'll bring this back into picture for you. I might dry him over something like this, like that. So that when he dries, he's going to have some movement like this one. That's a dry one. But can you see how curved it is? Right, so they're going to go to dry. So we've coloured the clay. We've moulded the clay. We've talked about shaping it. And now we're going to talk about one more thing. I'm looking at my notes there, and I'm pleased I did it, because I nearly forgot to tell you. The other thing you can do, and I did, is I need to put this away. I can't be ruining the clay. Right, whatever happens, protect the clay. The other thing is, if you want to put him on a project, And it's a project like a book, which is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be covering a journal in a minute. We're going to be painting it and covering it. And he's a little bit on the chunky side. Everything I'm saying I kind of can relate to with his little laughter lines, his chunky sidedness. Right, so if he's on the chunky side, right, you might not want it to protrude from the back of the book as much, or whatever you're making. If you look at this has got quite a bit of curve to it. And can you see how it's a bit bibbly bobbly on the back? Because it's just where you've pressed the clay down. And that one the same. Great front. The faces are fabulous, but they're a little bit not even on the back, which is fine. You can still work with it. But if you want to make it better, what I did is I have sanded the back of this one. Look at how much smoother that one is to that one. And it's thinner. It's way thinner. See how it's not nowhere near as chunky? And the reason I did that is because I want him to sit on a journal. And on a journal, I want enough detail so I can say part painted. We're going to continue with him later. But yeah, I didn't want it sticking out too much. That makes sense. So just get a bit of flat sandpaper and I went like that. In fact, it was easier to put it on the edge of your desk and hold it and do it like this. It just gave you more control when you're sanding it, just so as you know. But just, don't go too far. But that is going to be easier to stick because I've got a much flatter surface now. So let us now move on to the fun bit. Well, that will be the fun bit, but this is it's uber fun bit because you're going to get to colouring now. Now, I should mention though, again, if you're not that confident with the colour and you're thinking, I don't know about that, don't worry about it. Make them out of the dark clay and colour them with just a little bit of your mica powders, and he still looks fantastic. So either way, might we want to do a quick project, mica powders, brilliant, or a certain look. Or you might want to go full colour, more like this one, which is what we're going to do now. So let me get my craft mat up because I've got my tidy one and now I've got my messy one because we're going to use inks and we're going to use paint. So I'm trying to be a bit tidier. Trying. Probably not succeed. So I've got my leaves here and I have got my green man. I'm not sure which one I'm going to colour. I can't decide. I'll do, which one did I sand one? Talk amongst yourselves, I'll be back. Right, yeah, no, I'm good. I think we've, I'll sand, we'll continue with whichever. Let's do him. Right, so we've got the green man here. Imagine I've sanded the back. What I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to decide what mediums I'm going to colour with for a start. Now, my go-to on the clay here is I love my the water-based inks, right? So I put together basic colouring colours, and we're going to use some of them when we do this. But let me just take out what I'm going to use to start with. I'm definitely going to use. We can mix a skin tone, believe it or not, with blue, pink, and marigold. Those three, hot magenta, marigold, and blue, you can mix a skin tone with it. It's a little bit more long-winded though, and we've got a lot to go through with this video, so I'm going to park that to one side. We'll do that in future ones. For this one, we're going to do the easy route, and we're going to use buff. Buff is brilliant as a basic skin tone colour. But I will be using a bit of the hot magenta. I may well use a little bit of marigold, and I'm definitely going to use some dark walnut. So let's get started. So the first thing is I'm going to take some. Now I haven't even got my mixing palette here. I'm just probably going to do it all on here because I just do. It's just it's just habit. Right, we'll pop that on there. So that's buff. Okay. Now if you're not sure, here's a big tip. Get your paintbrush. I've got some water here as well. You always need a good lot of kitchen paper on hand. Right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my larger brush. So I've got brushes here ready to paint with. So this one is a number 4 round brush. And if you're not sure what the colour looks like and how it's going to look on your clay, just use the back of your clay and give it a little squidge and say if you're liking it. Now it's looking a little bit pinky, a little bit orangey. So this is where, if you want to tone it down a touch, you would take some of your walnut. Now we're going to use walnut anyway shortly to do a little bit of bring out the contouring. A tiny, micro touch into that. Micro touch, and then bring a little bit. Always when you're mixing, take the darker colour to the lighter colour, not the other way around. So that's a little bit darker. That might be a bit better for what we're looking at. If it's not, I'm just going to pop a tiny little bit, because we will need quite a bit of this one. I think I'm just going to put one more in there, so somewhere between the two I want. But that's how you're going to work, okay, with that. So all we're going to do is we're going to take this, and I'm going to start with his face. And I'm just going right over with a larger brush. I'm not trying to give him contouring, cheekbones, none of that. Just going straight over with quite a bit of paint. Now, what happens if you use quite a bit of the paint? Can you see what it's doing? It's welling into the nooks and crannies and the creases. That there is doing most of the work for you, and the work that the sculptor has done for you, because it's bringing out all the detail. It's just congregating in all the areas where you want to bring out the lines, the difference in the levels of sculpting. That's exactly what we want. That's perfect. Now, what we can do to give it even a little bit more, oh, actually, I was opening that and I realised I've still got some there, is we can pop a little bit more darker colour in there if we want as well. So I'm just going in with a tiny little bit of the watered down walnut in here. All right, and I'm going around, and I'm not worried if I'm hitting a bit of the leaves as well. Now I'm taking some of that water off my brush, and I'm just taking away a little bit of the excess. And don't worry, it looks really weird at the minute, because all you're seeing is this face with no colours around him, and he's looking a bit stark. But we're going to rectify that shortly. So we've got quite a good face going on there with the contours. What you can do, if you want to just highlight a little bit, you can take your piece of kitchen paper, and before it dries completely, you can just blot off a little bit of the paint, or use a baby wipe or a water wipe just to take off a little bit of that excess paint. And what it does is just, again, enhances the shape and the contours. I'm going to take a tiny little touch of magenta, a soupçon of the magenta, possibly, again, even a smaller amount, a micro dot, well, bigger, never mind. We'll work with it, of the marigold. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the tiniest amount of the pink, and what happens when you add that together is you get kind of a warm, oh, whoa, look at that orange. Don't worry, because what we're going to do is put some colour straight on there and blend it out. So it looks dramatic, a bit much, but by adding the water on it, it's actually toned it down. And what we'll do also is we'll give his lips a little bit of colour as well. Not lipstick. We don't want him to look like, he's doing some kind of lippy art or anything. Or the trout pout. We're not giving him a trout pout, just a bit of a tint. And then he'll look a bit healthier. Now, like I say, at the minute, he's looking a bit strange because nothing else is coloured. His eyes aren't coloured. But we're not going to do anything more to the face. We're going to quit there. We're going to say we're done with the face. But what I am going to do is I'm going to dry that so we can move on. Because if I dry it, it means I don't want that paint to move. I want it to stay where it's at. But we can maybe work on the eyes and then move on to the leaves. So let me just dry this. So a heat gun, hair dryer, whatever you've got. Let's give it a bit of a dry. Right. Right, that'll be great. I'll tell you what, you know what, we're not even going to do I'm not going to do the eyes yet. Let's do the eyes last, because I need to explain quite a bit about the eyes. The eyes are kind of the, you know, the windows to the soul, but they are important that we get the eyes right. So let's do the quick and easy now. We're going to use more of the marigold. All right, and I'm not worried about bits mixing in with other bits here on my mat, because that's going to help me out. I'm going to use, where's the blue? We need a bit of blue, because we've got no green here. I haven't got any pre-mixed green, but I'm not worried because I don't need it. Because, like I say, if you start off with these colours, if you start off with cobalt, you start off with hot magenta, and you start off with marigold, you've got colours there that your printer can do wonders with. These are called process colours, right? So this is like the cyan, magenta and yellow that you would get in your printer. They're the closest colours in this range that give you that. And believe it or not, you can even mix ready colours with these two together. And so many, the full spectrum of colours you can mix together there. So that's a great starter set to get. Then you can add to it, like the buff for the skin tone is your easy route there. But let's start with these leaves. So we've got blue, we've got yellow. We can use the other yellow. Let's just bring in a bit of this mustard yellow, which is the second good set I would say to use. Much, much more muted, bit like an ochre yellow, that one, earthy. So when you add a little bit of this blue to this, you're going to get a really pretty, bright green. Look at that. Gorgeous, juicy green. Now, that is a really nice green to start as your base. You could use that over the whole thing. So here's the other thing. All right. I do this a lot, and I have done this for quite a while now, as in teaching. But what happens is, before the teaching bit, I have to do a bit of playing. And when you're playing, you're experimenting, and you're doing, see if this works, if that little bit works, or can I make that better? But not just can I make it better, I'm always thinking, can I make it easier? Can we make that more teachable? Can I make that a more uniform process that everybody can do, not just you can do if you get lucky. You know, if the planets have aligned well that day, it's going to look good. I want something that I can show you, and if I go, it's like a recipe. If you add this, this, and this, you're going to get that. And that's the first stage. And then the next stage is this next bit added to the recipe. That there is what we are, you know, what I kind of, I'm always looking to do and to break down and make doable for you. I just had a horrible thought there. I wasn't sure if this was actually, you know, broadcasting. That would be fun, because I'd just be talking to myself. So can you see that is really rather bright? I'm kind of running out a little bit, not worried. I'm using a little bit, tiny little bit of water just to eke it out a little bit. I know I can mix that again if I haven't got enough, but it is easier if you mix a little bit more than you need. If you do it in your paint palette, to be honest, I'm doing this just for space on the overhead camera and time. But if you do it in a little palette, if your inks dry, if you mix too much and they've dried, you don't have to worry, because you can re-wet these inks. You're all right re-wetting the inks. So that's all fine and dandy. I'm just going to, yeah, we're good. Yeah, still good. So, right, that there is the base colour that we're using there. It's rather vibrant, rather in your face, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do, and everyone you do will be different, because that's what you're going to strive to do. You're going to strive to mix as many different greens as you can come up with to make it more interesting. Now this layer here, I'm using that other ochre colour, and I've used a bit more blue. Can you see how much more earthy that is? That's a little bit darker again, a little bit more dramatic. And what I can do is I can maybe make even a darker one, bit with that bit more blue than yellow. It's going really dark here. And I could put a touch of brown in it. And I want that really dark. So these bits, can you see the leaves like behind and in between? To give it more definition and, yeah, that's the word, definition, that's it. You know, more contouring again. Between the levels of leaves, you can go even darker. Add a bit of water to it, drag it out, and then it looks far more interesting than if you'd just done that one first layer. And see how down here you've got it looking like you've got just, you can see one leaf is over another leaf. It's not just a jumble of the same colour. So that's what we're looking to do here. And we're not done. We can still keep adding a little bit more colour. We can make some of them a little bit more different again, but that I want them all kind of warmish, so I'm using quite a bit of yellow. If you use, you hear people talk about warm green or a cool green, and all that is if it's got more blue in it, it's going to be a cooler green, and if it's got more yellow in it, it'll be a warmer yellow. Just because yellow's warm, blue's cool. It's just the law. And then I'm just colouring this now. I'm taking less of that and just popping it over like a glaze. So because these work in the same way watercolours work, I don't have to colour all new greens. I just need to use less of the one I've got, and it'll give me different variations on the shades that I've already got on there. If I think that's a little bit bright, a little bit in your face, you know what you can tone it down with? Bit of pink on there. That tones it down, because pink is actually the opposite on the colour wheel to red. So if you mix pink with green, you get a brown colour. So all I'm doing is I'm putting that tiny little bit of that pink as a glaze over some of these leaves, just because it was on the mat. I could have put a bit on his face, just give him a bit of a glow. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to take my brush and do that. If that happens, that's all right. Can you see how much more interesting that is now? Just by varying the colour, toning them down in places. Oh, that's a bit bright, that one at the bottom. That needs a little bit of attention. Just a little bit. He looks too new, that leaf. Yeah, that's better. This one could look a bit more varied. Just have fun, look at each leaf and just have a little bit of a play with it. And that one looks much better. See how that one's all got the different colours on it? This one can maybe benefit from a teeny touch of brown. Look for any white bits. You don't want white bits showing. You don't want that. Well, it's not white, it's the bits of clay. You don't want those showing. And what you want to do before you go much further is look along the sides and colour all these little bits. Just use one of the darkest greens that you've got in there, little mix there. With me, it's whatever's on the mat at the time. That's all good. And then we can go around and make sure that there's no, it looks messy. By doing this tidies it up so much. It'll look much better when you stick it to your project. You won't have these little white dropouts and things when we're done. So I'm just continuing there. Oh, come back. All right, nearly done. All right, that's good. Right, so he's looking pretty good, but we've got the eyes to do. Let me just wipe this up. Can you see how little of that ink I used? That's why I love this product. I'm using hardly any of it now, and I'm wiping a bit up. If that was in a little palette, I wouldn't have to worry about it, because you could, like I say, you can just re-wet it. Oh, you know what? I haven't coloured a leaf. I've got a colour leaf. We've got a colour. It's exactly the same deal. Let's just show you a little bit. Let's use a bit of the marigold and a bit of the walnut. So these leaves, you want to colour them at the same time. So have a little colouring session. A little bit of mustard to get a different one. So because the yellows are actually different, when you think of primary colours, you think of red, yellow, blue. There's actually different reds, different yellows and different blues. So these two yellows are both yellow, but they're very different, and they're going to give me different greens, as we just saw when I mix it with a bit of blue. So pop a little bit of that there, and let's see how we get on. So we're not colouring all the leaves because I have some already pre-coloured, but by popping a little bit of this like that in there, we'll always start with a lighter colour. I'm going to pop a little bit. You can kind of colour on your on your leaf as well. Look, see, just if you think, oh, a little yellow there. What we're looking at is we want a bit of interest on them. We want it to vary a little bit, not just a flat one colour. Not pink. Oh, but if you want pink leaves, that's perfectly fine. It's your call. It's your thing. But can you see how that's a bit different now? It's not just one flat colour. It looks more interesting. And that's what you are going to do. You don't have to, just a couple of colours on each leaf is probably enough as well. I've got, quite a bit going on there. So it doesn't even have to be that involved. But that kind of thing. You might want to do these ones slightly different. Maybe they are maybe a little bit more of the ochre colour. Let's try that with that. If you just keep mixing, you'll get different types of green. Yeah, see, that's changed that a little bit. And I'm just going to put a wash of that over the whole thing. And by putting quite a bit on, can you see how it's congregated? It's kind of like gathered into the creases of the detail of the mould. So it's emphasised, it's highlighted what's already there. So it looks even better. So that, and I love the way that's moved a little bit. So I don't, you can put a little bit more work on that if you want to, but it already looks good. But if you want to do a little bit of shading, absolutely cool. So you're going to do all your leaves like that. You've got your green man there. We're almost ready to do the eyes. So I'm going to wipe that up again. So the eyes, right, let's talk eyes. Eyes aren't super white, right? I'm gonna try and see if I can come in even a bit closer for you. Bear with. Please hold caller. Oh, look at that. All right, there you go. They're not white. The whites of your eyes are usually, if they're super white, they can look a bit on the scary side. All right, so we're not going for super white. What we're going to use is some matte chalk paint. And I'm going to pop a little bit down there. We're going to have them white-ish. So the base is going to be more of a cream grey colour. So I'm going to put a bit of walnut. Mate, it's just off camera. Let me try and see if I can pull that down. Yeah, you can just see it. All right, is that in focus? I hope it is. Looks like it is. Good. All right. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this blue there. And what we get, see, completely fine. This is absolute mixed media. We're going to mix the inks into the chalk paint. Both water-based, perfectly okay. So I'm going to take some of this white, and like I say, it's too white. So what I need is a touch of brown, tiniest touch of both of those, right? Just to take that white off it, because if it's super white, now it might be too grey. Maybe put a little bit more white in it. But what I'm doing is I'm just carefully painting, not all of the area. It's surprising how small this actually is, the white of this eye. If you paint it too big, he's going to look like he's in a bit of a state of shock. Okay, so can you see it's not as big as you think, that actual eyeball, and it's not white, it's white-ish. And then we're going, and it's got little dents in the centre that indicate where the iris and the pupil is. But we're just going to paint straight over that, like that. Now it's got definition there. You can see he's got eyes. So the next thing is, I want to dry that, and then we're going to contour these eyeballs before we even do anything else. So dry it. Right, so it's even going to get even more contoured than it was. So I'm going to take, I'm going to take even a smaller brush, this one here, look at that. It's a 0. It's a number 0. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this brown. If you mix brown and blue together, you get a grey. And you see? Got a nice grey colour there. And it's not really, really strong grey, but it's enough to just go around the top and at the sides of his eye. Because your eyelid casts more of a shadow than you think. And even if it's on the darker side, it will be more pleasing to the eye than stark white, honestly. The stark white is, there was a film when I was a little one called Village of the Damned. And all these kids in this village were actually like aliens, and the eyes lit up. And I can never forget this because my big brother made me watch it when I was a little one. Oh, it was scary. And that's what I think of if I see the eyes a little bit too. Now, what I'm doing here, I've gone outside the eye a little bit and I've put a little bit of that dark grey just there, just to give it a kind of an indicator that he might have some eyelashes going on. We're not giving him falsies, right? We're just doing it, just an indicator that he might have some, something there. Right, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mix a colour for his eyes. Now, because he's a green man and he's earthy and things like that, I'm going to go with a hazel colour, so green or that kind of tone, but muted, really muted. And I've got my yellow, I'm taking that there, and I've got this blue, and pop that in there. So I've got this greeny colour, but I'm also going to make it browny colour as well. And again, remember, if you're not sure, you can always check it on the back of your little piece of clay here, because you're not going to see that. This is going to be stuck down. And I want it maybe a bit more earthy, so a bit more brown, a bit less, in your face, and a touch more blue. So really, really muted. Right, let's see what that looks like. Take that colour, hardly any. Now, you're not going to ever see the full pupil on your eye. You're never going to see that full bit there, right? Because if you do, again, startled, rabbit in the headlights. You don't see the top of your iris. So I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to paint it in the full centre like this, with a top semicircle, but the bottom left there. Okay. Now, this is also important. You need to have them even. So there is a little indentation on the eye that will help you out a little bit, but less is more. Honestly, if you try to get too fancy with the eyes, it doesn't lead to anything too good. That's as much as we want to do there. We're not done though, because he's got to have a pupil. All right, so we've got his iris sorted, and they're pretty cool. They're not going in opposite directions. Definitely not what you want. I'm going to dry it quickly. And then I'm going to take some of the black. Now, this is mighty powerful, okay? It's black. So just really be careful here, because this is where it could go a bit wrong if you're too heavy-handed. So again, a little bit of a test thing on the back. And what I'm doing here is I'm taking some of the ink off my brush, and I'm going to go into the centre of his eye. And this is quite hard because I'm trying to paint this without leaning over it so you can see it instead of my head. So I'm hoping he looks right there. So he's got a pupil, all right? And then we're going to dry that. And then the last thing for the eye, the bit that will make him look, I think it makes it pop, is just the tiniest touch of white. And again, I'm just trying to look at this and get it so that I've got the light on it. And I'm just going to put tiniest little highlight like that. So now he's got a smiley face and he's come to life, hasn't he? Now you can look at it and think, right, I love him, but what am I going to do? Do I want to give him a bit of a touch of an eyebrow? Do I want to make his lips look a bit brighter? What do I want to do? It's your call. You can experiment. What I would say is, if you're going to do his eyebrows, don't go full in with too strong a colour. You want a muted colour, and you don't want much of it, right? Just like that browny colour there. We can just go. You do not want him to look like he's got, like, the silent film star penciled in brow. Don't go that look. And so by putting that on there, you need to move it really quick, or it will stick. Can you see? So just the tiniest amount, and then water it down. You really don't want much. You just want a suggestion. So every time you paint him, he can look slightly different, depending on if you want to put the eyebrow, if you don't want to put the eyebrow in. But I quite like that with just a suggestion of his eyebrow. If you want to make him look a little bit more, you can put a little bit of a dent under there. I'm not going to try and contour too much, you know what? Because you just get into trouble by trying to do the whole facial kind of makeup routine. We're not going there. But I think that's okay. We could warm his lips up a tad, just slightly. So we've got yellow on there. We need a touch of this hot magenta, just a tiny amount. And you need, so we're going to take some yellow, we'll pop it there a little bit and take some of the hot magenta to it and try it on the back. It's going to be orangey still, that one. So we need a little bit more red, like that. Like this. And we also want a bit of the brown in it. Just so that's a little bit, yeah, that might do. So, but a lot of water. So just a little touch. And let the, or he's going to look like he's got makeup on. You don't want him to look like he's got makeup on, okay? So if you put it on, you go, uh-oh, no, abort, just get lots of water on it and give it like a wash of water. It's exactly what I've done there to water it down, but it just gives it that little touch of, so that you can see his lips a little bit. Right, so we've got the leaves done, got him done. We're going to give him a glaze now. So let me wipe all of that up. I hope you're still there. You're probably, if you've nodded off, that's fine. You can watch it back later, but there will be a test at the end. Just saying. Right, so we've got leaves, we've got him. We're going to give him a little bit of a sheen from Sheena. That'd be me. Right, so to do that, I'm going to use this baby here, Iridescent MAC Powder Pigment. And I'm probably going to use a bigger brush as well. In fact, I will. I'm going to use a much bigger brush. And I'm probably going to use a, bear with, I'm looking at brushes right now. I'm choosing, not quickly enough. I might be even that one. Look at that, it's huge. Massive. That is a 14. We went from a 0 for his face to a 14. And the reason is, this is literally a glaze I'm mixing up. So before I wet my brush, I'm going to take a scoop. That's important before you wet your brush. You don't want to put a lot of this stuff, a wet brush, into there. And there's loads. I've taken loads out of there because, like I said, it's a glaze I want. I do not want white out this over this whole thing. Next thing, clean water and plenty of it. Okay, like that. There. Now, if you're not sure about going straight onto your green man with this, try it on a leaf and see what it's like first. See how liquid it is. If it's too silvery, it's too thick. Right? If you don't see the colour through it, there's too much. So put a bit more water in it. And then try again, or you can water that down. It literally is, it's like you're putting a glaze over it. Okay, I'm going to do that. Let's do the leaves first, and then you've got a little bit of practice in. Now, these are water-based products underneath, so if you keep going over and over and over, you might kind of unsettle a bit of the colour that you've put on there, and it might lift up a bit of green. So be aware of that. When you do his face, you might want to take, oh, he's a green man, made of a green tint, mightn't he? You could do. Yeah. So we'll take the brush like that. And then let's do his face first. And don't worry about, going straight over the whole thing. What you can do is, I think it looks better if you kind of blot the eyes. So don't have too much hanging around in the eyes, because it can, see where I used the brush there to lift that up, it can just settle into the eyes, the mica that's in this, and if the light catches it, it looks like his pupils in the wrong place, because you're reflecting, because colour where you or light where you don't want it, and it looks a bit weird, so we don't want that. So we're just going over with that very dilute, gorgeous pearl, and then it actually looks like you've got a porcelain-y kind of that luster. That's it, the luster glaze. That's the one I'm thinking of. And you've got this really cool guy here that I just think looks lovely with that little shiny finish on him. Really lovely. Aww. And he represents all good stuff, which is really super cool. I'm all into that. I'm into the, positivity and stuff. So let's dry him. Watch your leaves because they will blow away. Yeah. So make sure that all that is sorted. And your leaves. And then we're going to talk about what we're going to stick them on. Right, so that's him done. Pop him to one side. We're going to come back to him in a minute. But next thing is I want to talk about the base. We're going to stick him to a book, okay? This is the book that we're going to stick him to, right? It's just a little moleskin notebook. And I'm going to go a bit out with the camera. Let's try there. That's a bit better. So that's a little notebook, but we're going to make him look much funkier. Let me show you. Look at that, same book. Who knew? Looks like wood green. And I think it looks much posher, doesn't it? Exactly the same book. How did it happen? Let me share. Right, so we'll put that back there and open it. I'm not doing the whole thing because you'll see it's really simple. I've built it up a lot. It's a lot more simple than you think. But that isn't that the best thing? The most simple, effective thing. Hey, put me down for that. So this is the red velvet. Oh, I think a cake every time I do that. Oh, it's in my head now. You've lost us for a while. Red velvet, chalk paint, kitchen sponge. Right, so rescue a kitchen sponge with your scourer, quarter it, yeah, and then pull bits out of it. Because what you're doing is you're emulating the look of a natural sponge. You don't want random block, rectangle. You want it, all over the shop, but like me. Right, so then wet your sponge in your water, get it really wet, then squeeze it out. Okay, so that's now damp. Then you're going to take your red velvet. Nice. I like the frosting on the red velvet. Lovely. I actually like it better than the cake. I'm a big kid. So what you can do here, a sensible thing to do is take some card or something and put it like that. So you don't get paint all over your book. And then you're going to go like this, light pressure, like this, all parallel vertical lines, right? If it's looking like it's pilling, where it like resists the book, what I should have said is clean the book well with like a, like a bit of soap or something. Just a little bit of something like that, like dish soap, something like that. And what it'll do is it'll just get anything greasy off there. That's actually repelling quite a bit. If it does, the other thing is have less water in your sponge. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take a bit of that liquid away and I'm going to have less water on it. It hasn't clung quite as well as the other one. It's easy. It's an easy fix. Just less water in your sponge. But you'll know that. It's easy done. Come on. So... But you're better off, again, working less than having too much on. So this time I've got less on there. The book should hopefully not have anything greasy on the surface. That's important. And then you're going to drag over like this. Now see how now that's clinging. And it's not like repelling it. Called like sissing, it's called in your painting terms, on the surface, which means it just bubbles, it beads up. That's perfect. And to do the little edges and just let it dry, right? and then you do the rest. You can open the book, protect it, and do the rest. That there, if we dry it, you'll see, and actually it doesn't even come off that. It's bonds really well once it's dry, which is just, you know, shows how good this paint is, this the binder in it. So I'm gonna dry that quickly just to let you see what it looks like, and that it is exactly the same as the other book. When you're drying acrylics, never go too close because it can bubble, because it's plastic, so it can actually do a little bubbly thing. So not too fierce, stay away a little bit from it and dry it like that. And then you'll see that now that book there looks as cool as the other one, but it's just a plain black one on the back. I'll have to finish it. Actually, it's a Marie's book. I pinched it, so I certainly will have to finish it. I'll be happy. So pop that to one side, but I've got one I made earlier. Now, this is where we're going to stick this guy. We're going to pop him on here. We're going to put some leaves around him. And we're going to put some wording on there. All right. So that's the start of what we're going to do. But the wording is ready to go. Now, we could have put that, you know, the, I can't remember if that is that S. Just check your alphabet to see if you've got your letters the right way up, because some of them are a little bit trickier on, you know, the W's there and things like that might look like an M or whatever. So just have a little look. Oh yeah, you know what? If I could spell trust, we'd be almost there, wouldn't we? So trust is what I'm thinking, because trust the seasons are going to change. Trust that he's got your back. He's a good one, this bloke. So I've got that there. What I'm going to do, super quick to colour these in. I need a flat brush, so not a round brush this time. We're going to do this application of the mica powder. I told you this was going to be quite a long one, didn't I? But you know what? You can just edit, you know, filter, can't you? I'd rather give you more information than not enough information. So make sure with dry brushing, the clues are there. You're using a dry paint. You don't want it to go into all the little nooks and crannies. Hence, I've mixed this to more like almost paste consistency. I'm also going to take a piece of kitchen paper and I'm going to take off some of the excess off the brush, even like that. And then, because these are tiny little guys, I'm just going to lightly go over the opposite way to the green. So don't go with the green, go against the green. And then it picks out the detail better. So I'm just going to super speedy colour all these little things in. You know, and just any, you know, just a good empowering word, a good supportive, mindful words are all good. A good thing if you're gifting this. And also something that's going to fit on your project. I'm hoping this will fit on the project. I think it does, with a little bit of, because the thing is again, you don't have to have your letters all straight and uniform. That's the beauty of having the separate letters. We might have them a little bit wibbly wobbly, a bit jaunty. Right, we've got the wording done. We've got the guy ready to go there. I've got this one I made earlier, which is dry, a little bit more pearl on him, but I think I like him better. So that's a good one to show you. That's more of the mica paint on it. So you see the colour less, that's less of the mica. So more diluted, basically. I like the more diluted version. But I also have leaves I made earlier. So let's stick this together best we can. I'm going to use Cosmic Shimmer glue, because Cosmic Shimmer glue is like the best glue on the planet, in my opinion. Now, it doesn't always, not always the go-to glue for certain things. Sometimes you need like a silicone kind of glue, you know, like that thick, chunky, gloopy stuff. But I always go to this first, and then if we need to go with a gloopy stuff, I do. So let's stick him on to start with. Now, this one, bearing in mind, is not the one that I sanded. If I'd sanded the back on this, it would stick much better because you'd have a nice, flat, even surface. But imagine I'd sanded it, okay? And I'm going to stick him probably there. Right, I want room for the words. Now, there might be little gaps where I can fit in a little, because he might lift it up somewhere. little leaves. That leaf is going to go there, see? I can just take advantage of that and fill in the gaps. But you're going to need enough glue to hold this and keep it flat while it dries. I love this here. These are just so gorgeous, these leaves. They just make me happy. We'll pop that there. And you don't want it too even either. Don't go for symmetry. Don't go like one there, because then he looks like he's got a bit, he might have ears, you know, leaf ears. So we'll put that one down there. Again, try sticking it. Use less, and you can always go back if you need to. Let's pop that. Do we want him up there? I'm just going to plan it out. You know what I would say? Get your phone out and have a little play. See where you want these, and then commit to where they're going. You don't, and I might have too many leaves here. I might have more than I need. I may not need all of these here. But just play around with it. And then when you're happy, stick. Or take a picture with your phone if you're not ready to commit to it, and see what it looks like on your phone. And if you like it, go with it. I'm going to stick that little bit under there. That one, did I stick that one? Yeah. There's going to be a little bit of time before it grabs this, so you know you can do a little bit of an adjustment if you need to. Put that one there. And then we'll pop this guy here. Do I want a tiny little one somewhere? Maybe there. I just like that little, yeah, I like that there. So here's another thought, right? This is lovely as a little decorative book. Now, make sure these got plenty of glue. I've gone really quite quickly here. I would probably use a bit more glue when you're doing yours, just to make sure, and don't move it. Let it settle, all right? If you make your books, Pam does on my design team, I do, because I have a bookmaking thing, like a cinch or a binder or something, whatever you've got. The ring binder books are fabulous for that, because you see the way I've just moved these so I can fit them in, and that's perfectly fine. Just fit them like a little jigsaw puzzle to get them there. What I was going to say is the ring binder style is a really good way to go, because you're never going to then have to lean on the cover. Like this, if you fold it back, it's going to get more, contact with surface and things. Whereas if it's a ring bound one, it never has to be the page that you lean on. I'll show you what I mean, because Pamela's done a gorgeous book that I'm going to bring in and show you a different style. So trust that you can do this. You know what? It's like everything. It looks complicated, and then you try it and you go, right. I didn't realise it was that straightforward. Hopefully, you've got all the information you need, and this is what we'll be doing going forward. As you've probably sussed by now, I'm not worried about that little bit of glue. Can't do anything about it. I could get a little cocktail stick and clean it up in a minute, which is something I will do off camera, but you don't need to see me do that. I'd rather have a little bit too much on there, and it'll dry clear. And, you know, I'm hoping with everything else that's going on, your eye won't go straight to it. But if you want to clean it up, just a cocktail stick, go around and just carefully just remove any bits you can see. But that there is our lovely green man. I'm bringing more to the front there. I think he's gorgeous. I hope you like it. I hope you trust you can do it. I would have put believers there as well if you can do it, because I can't. I've got all the words. I've got all the letters. I can do it. But I know you can. See this one here. Let me show you what I mean. That's the one that I just wanted to take you through. But this is the one that Pamela's made with our binder. And what I mean by talking about that, she's able to put the bark on the back for a start and be chunkier. It's got more raised contouring to it, but it doesn't matter, because when you use this book, that never has to be come into contact with notes, painting, sketching. It's always out of the way, protected. So it doesn't matter when you're using your book. With this one, being a conventional book, when I turn it page back, it might get more kind of, wear and contact. Hope that makes sense. What was the other thing I wanted to say? I think I've said everything I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about the bark. I wanted to just point out that Pamela's used this in the full size of the rectangle. You don't have to do that. You can just use your clean part of it and make it thinner at the sides. It will be more difficult to take out of the mould if you go too thin, but it looks more interesting with a little wiggly, wobbly, kind of wibbly wobbly sides. But the other way you can use it is you can cut it into strips, and when you put it together, this is like a jigsaw puzzle. I've taken them all apart. Did that go together? No, it didn't. But basically, there's like lines that you can kind of follow up there. So you can have part of them there with your green man on and things like that. So you don't have to have the whole thing in its entirety. Oh, I forgot to put little flowers on the letters. Let me just show you this quickly as well. And then we'll have a little quick recap. So if you wanted, we've got all these little flowers which will just sit on some of your letters, which I think are lovely, and be a bit random like that. Colour them. You can put them in amongst him as well if you want, but that's just more things that you can just add to it. But I think that's been about a full day. You've watched this now. We've gone beyond hours. Could be weeks. But let me pop that to one side. Let me just recap what we've got here. And then that's us all sorted and lovely. Let me go on the other camera so I can talk to you. There I am. I'm still here. I'm back. Right, so just to recap, that there was the fabulous, gorgeous, let me show you again, the green man moulds, the Twiggy alphabet, and the bark. Having a little cockapoo, I know all about the bark. I'm hoping you've enjoyed that. I have. I've had a fabulous time. So thank you very much